And today's question, Scott, is?
Which off-season departure will the Browns miss the most?
Okay.
Browns got rid of a lot of people this offseason, brought in a lot of new faces, particularly on defense. Which player will they miss the most? I think the obvious choice, the first choice that a lot of people might pick would be Joe Schobert, Pro Bowler. We saw him in a Pro Bowler form here. Didn't have a great season last year, but still he's a veteran linebacker in the middle of the defense that kind of ran things, and now the Browns have to figure out who's going to take over that role. But he's not my pick.
Oh,
my pick is actually going to be, I threw you a curveball there. My pick is actually going to be Damarious Randall. I think having that guy at the back of the defense, he obviously played really well in 2018. Everybody was talking about the contract extension possibilities. And he had a pretty good season across the board. He was probably the most consistent player in the defensive secondary for the Browns, both from like a run defensive standpoint, coverage, tackling. He played well. And I think that's the kind of guy that they're really going to miss, especially when you think about how they're only going to have two linebackers on the field, probably similar to last year. You're going to have more safeties, and you want somebody back there who's kind of running the show. Randall had experience here. He had experience with the people around him. Now you've got an entirely different group back there who is going to be working with a shortened, ramp to the season. And, whether it's Carl Joseph or Andrew Sendejo or if it's Grant Delpit, you have somebody back there who's totally new and trying to get everybody on the same page on the defense. So I think Damarious Randall, he might be a guy who they're going to miss the most.
Mary Kay, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the obvious. I like the fact that Scott throws us a lot of curveballs, and he makes sure that he never goes with the obvious. I always go with the obvious. So that would be Joe Schobert. I mean, Joe Schobert was super solid in the middle of that defense. Now, he did have his tackling issues. We all know that. But he was a field general. He makes the calls. He was super solid. We will always remember Greg Williams and Blake Williams just raving and raving and raving about Joe Schobert and how smart he was and how he's another coach on the field and how he gets guys lined up everywhere. The truth of the matter is they watched a really good football player walk out the door. There's no denying that. The Jaguars are ecstatic to have him and very happy to have him at $10.5 million a year. To them, that was a bargain to get that kind of a player, that Pro Bowl player, for that kind of money. So the truth of the matter here is the Browns just did not want to allocate that much money to that position. They don't care that much about linebacker this year. It's kind of obvious in terms of it's sort of an analytics thing. It's cost versus premium of the position or the value of the position. And to them, middle linebacker, that's not $10.5 million a year to them. It's just not.
So can I make the case then for kind of the collective where you lose Joe Schobert, but then you also lose Christian Kirksey? Can I make the Christian Kirksey case? I think this is a guy, he was a third-round pick back in 2014, one of the kind of Ray Farmer hits. Ended up signing an extension. It was actually Sashi Brown that gave him that extension, so Andrew Berry was around for that. But this is a guy that was kind of in some ways Joe Schobert before Joe Schobert here. A guy, he wore the green sticker. He didn't miss much time. He was pretty reliable. He was sort of one of the spokesmen in that locker room. I know he won the Good Guy Award from us the one year. Pretty active in the community, just sort of as a player and a guy. And look, he's been ravaged by injuries the last 2 years. He ended his last 2 seasons on IR. So I think we all kind of saw this coming. But I do think losing a guy like Christian Kirksey, I do think that leaves a hole on the field. I think it leaves a little bit of a hole in the locker room too.
Can we get a dog check?
Dog check? Who's going to the dog check this year?
So, Christian Kirksey brought a lot to the table, not just in terms of his good linebacker play, but, in terms of, spirit, soul of the team, that kind of thing. I mean, he was a tremendous leader. I mean, he was a go-to guy. He was one of the longest tenured Browns on the football team. And Christian Kirksey and Joe Schobert together, they brought a lot of veteran leadership, especially to that room. And now that room doesn't really have that element to it.